Have you ever heard the tale of Walt Disney and the flower bed? Or perhaps the story of Walt and the Busboy? Well, today it is going to be Disneyland and Walt story time after the intro. Well, hello there. My name's Jeremy and welcome back to Freeform Disney, where I talk about all aspects of Disney, from the animated movies to the theme parks to Star Wars, Marvel, and Pixar, and the TV shows, and everything else in between. And that is why it's Freeform. And keep coming back every day for new daily content. If you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Today I'm going to tell you a couple neat stories from the history of Disneyland about Walt Disney. Now, I really enjoyed these, and I'm hoping you're going to too. These stories come from the famous Imagineer John Hench in his book Designing Disney. Now, John Hench had plenty of first-hand knowledge of Mr. Walt Disney himself, as they worked quite a bit together. Even if you don't know John Hench by name, you certainly know his work. John Hench is the person who designed Space Mountain. He also designed Cinderella Castle at Walt Disney World in Tokyo Disneyland. And he led the design of Tomorrowland, led the design of New Orleans Square, led the design of much of Adventureland, and so much more. So when John Hench shares these stories about Walt Disney, take this from a person who has a close knowledge of Walt. Heck, he even got confused for being Walt Disney a number of times in the parks just because he has a similar look to him too. Funny side note there. So now these are a couple stories about the story environment of Disneyland and how Walt helped shape that from early on. This first story is told by John Hench as, "Just after we opened the park for business, we discovered that some guests had made a pathway through a flower bed. We were walking through the park one morning before opening when the gardeners came up to Walt and said, 'We need a fence to keep guests out of the flower bed.' Walt told them, 'No, we must pave this pathway. When guests make their own path, they probably have a damn good reason for doing it.' And as John Hench went on to say, 'From experiences such as these, we learned that our guests make the park's story environment their own.'" I just love this story. It's just kind of that little comment that, no. They probably got a good reason for doing what they're doing right there. Maybe we should actually listen. It makes me think of how the trash cans are placed in there too. Just walk around the park eating. Every time I would just toss a piece of trash down, probably should put a trash can here. It's kind of the mindset of, if something's not working, let's try to go ahead and work with them and come at it from that angle rather than trying to restrict and force the people to adhere to what we want them to. And sometimes I don't think this mindset is there as much nowadays. I certainly see a lot of fences, but then again, things have changed a lot too. I mean, we have so many more people in the parks nowadays than we did then. But still, that mindset and what that was back then helped change and shape the entire future of Disney as a set of parks, etc. We had a creative in charge back then, somebody with a nice point of view, at least when it comes to things like this. Now on to the second story. This one is of a different time over in Disneyland, and I just love what it says about Walt and his view on leadership. So back to John Hench again. He said, "Walt also was keen to make dining a good experience for guests, not just a necessity. He would walk the park in disguise, wearing an old hat and dark glasses, observing how people were treated. On one of these walks, I saw him stop at the newly opened restaurant Plaza Pavilion, with table seatings outside. A young boy was bussing dishes, scraping them into a cardboard box at the table in front of diners. Not a very appetizing thing to watch. Walt walked over to the boy, patiently and quietly explained to him that cleaning plates should not be exposed to the guests, and asked the boy to take the used dishes back to the kitchen to clean them. Walt waved his hand a bit. The boy nodded and removed the dishes. I watched the whole thing from a distance. I keep seeing this picture in my mind. I was really shocked by the whole thing. It did look bad from the guest's point of view. But Walt didn't raise hell with the busboy's boss. He spoke only to the boy. I am sure that neither the boy nor the diners knew that it was Walt. It was typical of Walt to go to the source of a problem in this way. Now, this is another story I really liked reading when I was reading through that Designing Disney book. Just no need to make a giant deal out of it. No need to make a mountain out of a molehill. Just go talk to the person actually doing it, because hey, they probably don't even know or realize what they're doing and how it's coming across to other people. And there's no need to make punitive action or anything else like that. Just talk to the person, fix the problem. Yeah. Now, certainly I have heard by far that Walt could be a hard person to work with. Certainly a lot of talk of that too within the history of Disney. But still, things like this are nice. I've only known too many situations where that's not the way things go down. And if you've ever been in that situation, you really wish someone would have just come up and said something to you, just so you could fix it and you didn't have to have it become a much bigger problem than it actually was. Hey, we all make mistakes, right? Well, hey, now that you've heard these stories, I hope you found them enjoyable. I love that sensibility, and I think the parks need more of that sensibility nowadays too sometimes. We get a little too corporate, shall we say, at points. And well, what about you? Which of these stories was your favorite? And do you like this kind of video? Would you like to see more of this? Because I've definitely got more stories I can share. Go ahead and let me know down below in the comments. And thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like, give it a share. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And I'll see you back here tomorrow for another new episode of Freeform Disney. Have a magical day, and may the force be with you. Always.